This is We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard, and today we're going to be looking at the Court of Miracles, which has been brought to us from Lucky Duck Games. It was originally developed by Kadama and Lumberjack Studio and Blackrock Games, and have been working in conjunction with Lucky Duck Games to bring it to the table this year. So I'm going to tell you very quickly about some of the key mechanics, and then I'm going to tell you what my initial impressions were of it. So, imagine 1600s in Paris, where anyone who's below the upper class and nobility is fighting on a day-to-day in order to try to survive. In the game of the Court of Miracles, you are basically in control of a guild of beggars, and you are trying to earn your renown in order to basically take over the streets of Paris and make it your own. It's a mixture between an area control game and a worker placement game, and like a lot of worker placement games, you are going to be placing one of your rogues down on the table in order to claim a resource, and then also cement your position in order to effectively control that particular sector of Paris itself. As the game goes on, and players will be placing their rogues down in the city streets, as the penniless king passes your area on the streets, you might have a standoff where you will take your rogue and you'll flip it over, and that will give you a value and also sometimes a potential effect as well. The winner of the standoff gets to place one of their renown tokens in that area to show that they run that particular area of Paris. Interestingly enough, both players then lose their rogues, or they go back to their own supply for another time. As the game goes on, the penniless king will move around the city of Paris, setting off standoffs until you reach the very end of the game, where either the person with the most renown wins, or if somebody manages to get to 6 renown before the game ends, they are declared the winner. It takes usually about an average of probably about 40 minutes to an hour to play. It can be slightly longer depending on the number of players that you have. So let me just tell you a couple of things that I think about it. But if you come this far, it'd be brilliant if you could press the like button and maybe drop us a subscription. Certain games come along and they have very simple, fundamental rules to learn. And then on top of that, there's a certain amount of strategy, and the Court of Miracles is very, very much that type of game. This is the rule book. It's literally about 8 pages, and that can say everything that you need to know in terms of potential accessibility for this game for people who haven't played games. There's very few rules in this game. You are essentially placing a rogue, you're getting the reward, you're then using the area effect of that area, you're getting the bonus for that, and that will have an effect in the game. You have plot cards that you can play at any time. You have things that cost money that will have an effect on how you're playing the game as well. There's some key, really nice things about this game, which I've really, really enjoyed so far. The first aspect is the fact that each of your tokens, they have their own version of a rogue. So it could be like a right-hand man, or it could be like a beggar. But when you are facing in a standoff, you're essentially, neither of you know what the other player potentially could have. So sometimes it can be a bluffing game. Sometimes it can be a game where you decide, even if you're going to lose that particular round, that you're going to have a standoff anyway. Because as I said, the result of the standoff, no matter who wins, everybody has to clean their rogues, and they have to clean that off the board, and I like that an awful lot. The plot cards in here, while they add game-changing effects, they're not entirely very difficult ones to carry out. It can be a horrific case where additional rules and mechanics that can be brought in by like cards like this can have confusing effects, in some ways kind of game-breaking effects, where you get that thing that says, if you see the card contradicts the main rules, then the card kind of takes precedent, and that can lead to confusion. And the Court of Miracles tries not to do that. The plot cards make an interesting addition as you play. And I like the fact that you've got a time kind of factor brought in by, you might want to advance the Penniless King in order to force a showdown. You might want to advance the Penniless King because you've got 5 renown on the board. It plays well with 2 players because you don't feel like you're in a barren space. There is literally only 15 kind of spaces on the board that you can play. So even in 2 players, if you've got 4 tokens each, you're going to end up clashing with other people, whether you like it or not, which is very, very, very welcome. In terms of theme and art and style, when I opened the box, I was struck by, I'm a sucker for kind of like the comic book kind of style and strong line art, and the Court of Miracles was stunning when you open the box. This lid is fantastic. I really, really drawn in. And this taken through to the illustrations on the plot cards. The board itself is kind of unusual, that they've not gone for the normal kind of rectangular or square board, that they've effectively made a kind of a cutout to give it kind of like an unusual kind of presence on the board as well. The tokens are very clear and striking. It's fairly simplistic. And in this time, it's not something that takes ages and ages to learn. You're not going to sit down to this game and spend the first half hour setting up and even try to learn the rules. You're going to spend the first 5 minutes setting up and learning the rules. And then it's one of these games that the strategy will unfurl as you go. So I was pleasantly surprised by this game. We enjoyed the Court of Miracles, and that's from Lucky Duck Games. My name's Richard. This is We're Not Wizards. But until the next time, stay safe, roll 6s, and I should have learned how to say make something awful in French. But c'est la vie.